This is the February 18th, 2021 Commissioners meeting. We have a quorum present with Commissioner Brahmas on Zoom, Commissioner Hostetter in person, Commissioner Blessinger in person. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance for anyone that wants to join. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's get some house cleaning out of the way. I think our first item is we have payroll. Anybody have any questions or concerns with payroll? Seeing none, I move that we approve payroll as presented. Have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have the meeting minutes from the February 1st, 2021 meeting. I move that we approve those minutes as presented.
Second.
First and second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. So what do we have here? Seeing any more different claims or this?
This week's payroll and claims that we did this week. I added them to it. That's why I put them on top.
Yeah, I don't know what the have we had any issues with the payment for the new health people that are helping with the COVID vaccine? Are they going okay with getting them paid?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything's
They're trying in their paperwork, and I think they're on top of it.
okay. So we have a register here for this week's payroll. And we have some additional claims against the county in the voucher register. Who's leading off?
Thanks, John.
Okay, that's Commissioner Brahmas, would you like us to hold off on approving the additional voucher for your claims?
I think I'd be okay with going ahead.
Okay, I will move that we approve all of the claims against the county, including the most recent voucher register as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. That motion carries. Yeah, Elmer. I believe we are good with those. First up, we'll have the highway supervisor report, please. All right. Anybody?
Printed one, so.
Yeah, I'll take one. Turn it one. I think I copied what you had, but just in case.
Okay. Yeah, I said I think it was revision yesterday or something. Yeah, I added about version equipment.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
The interviews that were originally scheduled for last Thursday were rescheduled for today, with the first one beginning at 2:30 this afternoon. Our goal was to have someone ready to hire and have them start on Monday, March the 8th. However, with everything else that's been going on, it's just not, we don't have the time to get that done. when you look at selection, pre-employment screening, and approval of the hire and stuff. So even a 2-week notice to make that possible. So if weather doesn't impact anything today, which I believe it should be letting up here sometime, we would like for the applicant to begin on Monday, March 15th. So that just pushes back about a week. So we go through the process. We'll try to clear who we're looking at. We'll set up, maybe we want to do a special meeting or how we want to do that to get approval.
I say you go through the process and you just keep communication with me, and we'll do what's needed to get the person started in a timely fashion so that we're not behind.
Okay. All right.
What I mentioned to Steve, I think what he's referring to is if we need to have a special meeting for 5 minutes or something to get somebody approved, then that we could probably do that.
Yeah, we'll kind of figure out who we're looking at. We'll be in touch.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have been dealing with widespread icing and snow on many of these roads. Cold temperatures haven't really helped a whole lot. However, things are beginning to improve. We had everything in pretty decent shape yesterday before this hit again. We had to get back into some of the gravel roads and get some of them open as well. So it has taken a hit on our material supplies. All the salt that we had stored up with nice surplus over the last couple of years, it's gone. We've got about 80 ton at the garage now. We do have some being brought in today. We've ordered our full amount for this year, so that's all coming. So we're still in pretty decent shape. But because of the temperatures and the icing, the quarries have had trouble staying open and getting material as well. So I just talked to one of them here a little bit ago. They're planning on going. So it's quick as it comes in, it goes out. So we're doing the best we can with that and trying to stay ahead. 600 West, I was going to have Brent discuss that. You had asked about a tracking device update. The devices themselves have been helpful for mechanics, especially when somebody breaks down, to know where our people are. A lot of times also it pops up the little mechanism that kind of gives you a diagnostic review of what's going on, so they have an idea when they're going out to work on something, what they're looking at. So it helps with that type of planning. It's also saved us in a number of occasions where somebody had complained that a rock came flying off of our truck and hit their windshield, this, that, or the other thing, and they gave me a time and a location when this happened. I go back to the tracker and realize we weren't even there. So there's a lot of benefit to it. And on Tuesday, we also found out that they had said that they will pay regular bills and all this stuff. So as long as that piece of equipment has a tracking device on it, well, one of our plows was going down the road Tuesday, hit some ice, spun him around. He ended up in the ditch. We had Brookshire come and pull him out, and they're going to take care of him. $315 some odd dollar bill. So I'm glad we got it. We've been using it a bit, so it's just an update.
So thank you. And like, how often is it time to renew it again? I mean, is it a year-to-year contract? I thought. Is it not?
No, that was a contract. I think that was for WTH. I think the Verizon thing, most of it was to get the pieces of equipment, get them installed, and then I think we just pay a monthly fee. And then if we want to, here in winter time, we're not tracking the mowers. be silly, so we just pull them off and it cuts our payment, so it's just, you can go back and forth, you can turn them off, put them back on, but anytime something is on, you'll get a bill for that every month. So.
Okay.
Next up, our light new compactor roller was delivered last week in good shape and will be placed under inventory. I'd like to declare the old roller as surplus, and we'll begin to find a new home for it, whether it be an auction or scrapyard or something like that. We'll find a new home for it. So I guess I need a approval to declare that old roller as surplus.
Do you think we'll get something out of it, even if we scrap it, if we got some scrap value even?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with declaring the piece of equipment surplus so we can move forward. Commissioner Brown?
Yes, no, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Okay.
I move that we declare the old roller compactor as a surplus item to be disposed of by the highway supervisor.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
I
Motion carries.
Okay, the last item, I've updated our 5-year equipment plan. I think when I was into the county council, the last meeting, talking about putting money in for Wanda's replacement to start a little bit early, move some money around, and also to get the money in place for that roller. Discussed with them that I was going to work on getting this 5-year rotation plan out, and they wanted to look at it as well, so they had an idea of planning and stuff for the year. So if you look on the back page, and I think Elmer, that it should be on that second page that I had sent out yesterday. I believe I sent a revised email. Did you get that?
okay, I missed that, but I'll look at it.
Okay. Just to keep it short and sweet here, I'm just looking at 2021. We are going to be looking at needing a sanitation truck this year. Dump truck 200 is going to have to go. We do have the 4x4 ton truck flatbed that doubles as a brine and a plow truck in the wintertime, and also serves as our weed sprayer truck in the summertime. That one there is we're looking at that going, and also we've got the 5-door roller, which we've already taken care of. So what I'd like to propose, this list looks good to you. I would like to discuss with the council if they could help us. I know, receipts and everything are tight, but if we could pay for half of it, if they can help us with the other half, that would be a good start to help us, keep this equipment updated. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
You're talking about asking them for the team cap contributions, right? So that you can do all of these and not, otherwise you probably have to cut half of it off if they don't contribute. Correct.
Now, some of this, it's not all going to be at one time. I think we're looking at trying to do the sanitation truck. A lot of times that takes about a year before we put it out to bid, and then it goes through the process. And the compactor people will not build the body until the truck chassis has been built and delivered to wherever it is they're at in Texas, and then they'll build it. So it's a long, drawn-out process. So my hope was to try to do that at the same time we're bidding the dump truck chassis. Maybe we'd be looking at 2 chassis and get a decent deal with 2 trucks. So I'd like to do both of those at the same time. So I'm just throwing that out there right now for food for thought. I'd like to try to do these trucks maybe April, or certainly not much later than May anyhow, so this gives it, gives you a little something to look at. I'll talk with them at the meeting and kind of get their feeling on it as well, if you guys are okay with this.
And historically, this is how you do it. They don't want you to budget it. They want you to come in and, they want you to track it like this and then come in and ask for it each year, correct?
Yeah.
So I think this is the route that they wanted it done, and I support doing it going forward. The 2006 Ford Explorer, that's the one that all the staff uses.
Yeah.
And then your vehicle would rotate down.
Did
Well, it's
you
not
get rid
that
of that?
Yeah, we got really similar. We haven't scaled.
That's one thing I didn't do right now. We've got the old EMA vehicle, so that Explorer is gone. So yeah, that's
So
one
we
thing.
won't
I
have a
did.
trade.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's anything wrong with the engineer's vehicle at this point, correct?
Yeah.
So it'll be fine to rotate it down. And
What we're gonna do, Brent's truck would go in the field. District 2 has an old Chevy that's, it's in bad shape. So that's the one we were gonna trade off. And then Brent's truck would go to the district, and then Brent would have the other vehicle. So just gonna be getting rid of the worst one.
I don't have an issue with them supporting the rotation as presented.
No, I think it's a good plan.
Commissioner Brahmas?
Yeah, just so I understand, we're looking at the 2021 budget. I pulled up what you sent me, Steve.
Okay,
We're looking at the 2021 budget year, right?
right.
And you've got, first of all, the 2021 budget, the figure at the bottom is the total, and you're planning to divide that between sanitation, MVH, and cum cap. So cum cap would be what you'd be going to the council and requesting?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sanitation, that fund would purchase half of that sanitation truck. And the other purchases would be on a highway.
Okay. Yeah. No, if the council is in agreement, I'm okay.
Okay.
So you don't have any opposition from us, and you can proceed to the council.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. We started all over again with the plow this morning, so just keep at it.
So we'll all be gone next Tuesday.
I should hope so. Just a memory.
Right. Okay, thank you, Steve. Anything else for the supervisor?
Okay. Would I be able to leave in a short bit? I got a bunch of stuff I want to try to do.
You mean leave the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then Nick, I'll see you at 2 o'clock. See you, Albert.
See you, Steve.
We need you, we'll call you, Steve. How's that? Is it if we need something, we can just get you on the phone or something? Yeah, thank you.
You guys send them word.
That's what I figured. Figured it worked out better. Okay. All right, 600 West Railroad Crossing. I spoke with Jason Boulder on Friday. Yeah, Friday. And I spoke with Greg as well. The agreement that they sent us, I don't think is right. I spoke to them, expressed my concerns. According to this, we would only own $35,000. Or the project only worth $35,000. We would owe it 10% of that. That's not right. The actual estimate is $350,993.
One more time.
$350,993. It's on your sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the thing they gave us is not worded correctly. I mean, you agree with that?
Correct.
And so I spoke with him, expressed my concerns. He said he's gonna go back, he'll look at it, rework it, and then get it back to us. I haven't heard a word from him since then. I was gonna shake some bushes today to see if I can get this done. Last Friday, last Thursday, something like that. Yeah, so it's been a week, so it should have, I would think this changes the word verbiage, which shouldn't take very long.
And just as a reminder, council president reminded me, how much they had approved for this, and it was 38,500. So that was what was estimated to be our
Yeah.
share of it. So that'd be 10% plus a little cushion of the 350,000.
Yeah, well, 35,000 is what we've got, we'll have to have budgeted. And then we've already put in $2,000 for the engineer's estimate. So they're preparing all the documents.
I agree.
So that's where all that money went to. Just want to give you a heads up. I'm still waiting. I thought sure they have a contract today, but they don't. So what we'll have to do is, I know you guys get a DocuSign, email, or a text message. Technically, you guys can't sign that until you approve it at a meeting. Well, and then all three of you can sign it. I informed him how our timeline works. They can't just send it to you and you sign it and go. It needs to be formally approved at a commissioner meeting by all three, and then if only one signs it, that's fine, but no, it has to be done. So,
And then you only have 2 days to sign.
so
what I guess what I would propose is that the board, I'd seek consent from the board to sign the contract once it's approved by, once legal looks at it, once the engineer looks at it, that we don't have to wait for formal approval. That I'm asking for the consent of Mr. Brown and Hospital for me to sign it next time it comes in and it's approved by the three of us. So
now, also in the past, all other federal aid and LPA NDOT contracts have been signed by all three.
I believe this one just had my signature.
No, it had all three.
Okay.
It has to be signed by all three. Now, if you just determine if you want to have you sign it, that, I mean, make the motion now, I think it'd be fine, but all contracts in the past and this one should be all three. I would say we just stick with the way that, yeah.
Okay. I thought in the
Because
past.
here it's got 3 spots for people with commissioners.
Okay. I thought the way it was set up was because it was electronic. I thought it was just me approving it. But you're saying all three of us would have had to sign in electronically.
Right. You should all three get an email from DocuSign asking you to go in, review the document and sign it. But it can't be like NDOT where you just go on your own. It has to be formally approved at a commissioner meeting, and then all three of you individually sign it.
Did the two of you get that email other than the one that I forwarded to you?
You should have. I sent everybody an email. Elmer, did you get it with DocuSign on it? From DocuSign.
I've seen the contract, or I've seen the draft contract. What email are you referring to?
I'm referring to one, I think it was last Wednesday, it came to me.
Last Wednesday would be what day?
Last Wednesday. This week Wednesday or before?
The 10th.
Okay, I think I've seen that one, yes.
Yeah, it should have came from, maybe from NDOT, I don't know, but it's a DocuSign, which is electronic signature is what it is.
How do I attest their
And
signature?
see, according to the DocuSign documents is that you don't have to attest because by having the information they have, it only goes to them and then they can sign
As
off.
long as I get a copy of it somehow.
Right.
Dean Federal, I have to track.
I guess my point is that once this document gets to us, if we have limited time to sign it and return it, I prefer that we had the public consent here today. It's in the minutes that we can sign it when it comes and it's been approved by the engineer and the attorney and ourselves. Do you agree, or are you saying once they send it, we have 2 days to sign the thing?
It's 48 hours.
So that's.
But what I informed him in our conversation is that, we have commissioner meetings the first and third Mondays traditionally of every month.
Right.
So if he would submit it on Friday or submit it to us on Friday for our review, we present it to you guys on Monday, then Monday afternoon, he can send the email. And you guys have Monday and Tuesday, or I guess kind of part of the day, Wednesday to sign.
I'm okay either way. If you guys want to direct it that way to help the dates line up, fine. Otherwise, you think that way will work?
I think it's clear cut. It gives us a chance. It gives it for the, in case there's something going on.
Okay, if that's the case, then I think we'll just let Brent drive the train and let us know at our next meeting or
Yeah.
after whatever.
It's always traditionally done. It's worked really smooth. Covers all. That's all you guys. That's all fees.
So I think I was confused. I was thinking the NDOT contracts, I can sometimes sign on my own.
So, well, you may be able to do something with the state, but NDOT contracts have always, since I've been here involved, or since I've been involved with it, have all three commissioners have always put it. Right, so it's been voted on in a meeting that all, and then one abstains and they obviously don't sign, but they voted on in a meeting.
Sounds good. Any other questions on County Road 600? With crossing?
Yes, I have a question for Brent. Yeah, I read through the contract and I agree. I was confused, especially by the numbers and so forth. And I understand you're going to get that straightened out. But the one question I was still wondering about, does NDOT have any financial responsibility here, or are they simply securing the federal dollars?
They're just acting as the bank for the federal dollars.
Okay,
They're securing that money is all they're doing.
so the entire project will be shared by, not equally, but shared by federal dollars and local dollars.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's moving forward now.
Only 2 years. Right? Okay, let's keep rolling.
All right, bridge number 14 and bridge number 94. These are bridges that are currently railroad flat cars over top of pretty big ditches. Bridge number 14 is on Division, right next to the Patoka River, where Stewart Road meets Division. Due to where it's at, being so close to Patoka, it's outside of our guys' realm of getting done under the $250,000 threshold that we have to do for those bridges. Because of the ditch work that's going to be done, the bank stabilization, getting next to Patoka, the Patoka comes up, we gotta make sure we keep the water out of our. It's hard for us to do. We don't have the materials to do it. We had to rent all this. It would fill us outside the $250,000 threshold. So, and bridge number 94 is northeast of Huntingburg on County Road. It says 130 west, but it's 400 south. It's in a bend. It's in a floodplain. Again, it's going to be hard for our crews to replace this bridge under the $250,000 threshold. So I've contacted SJCA to give me proposals on replacing these things. He has done that. I don't need a decision today, but I do want to give them before you guys and talk to you about them. Maybe at the next meeting we can approve or disapprove what you guys want to do. So I have them here. And I will make copies and email them all to you guys so you have in front of you to look at them. Bridge number 14, they're giving us a fee of $95,000 to do redesign. There's survey, backstroke bridge design, geotech reports that are involved, utility coordination. I don't think there's going to be much, but there might be some. Hydraulic analysis is the must, the water report, and then also IDEM permits, IDEM DNR. That adds up real fast, so that's going to have to be done. I think their proposals pretty good, pretty consistent, nothing too outstanding. So, like I said, I'll get these before you guys, but I want to give them to you. Are you guys okay with me at least addressing any proposals to replace these bridges?
So can you tell me what was the design cost?
For Bridge 14 was $95,100. Bridge 94 was $93,970. Now, if we decide to do both with SJCA, they'll knock, just say roughly six or so $1,000 off the price, $5,000 to $6,000 off the price of each one. Like I said, I'm not saying we need to approve this today. I just want to present it for you, get it for you, so you guys have something that you want to look at.
And there's sufficient money to pay for the design and the replacement of these two bridges.
Yeah.
This year's budget.
Well, what we will do is we will do the design this year and we will bid them for 2022 more than likely. We would probably be in here in February of next year with bids to build these things.
I'm satisfied that we can take a look at them and give Brent some direction at the next meeting. Commissioner Brahmas, any comments on that?
No, I don't think so. I'm good with what Brent has proposed. I do have a question on bridge number 94. Where did you say that was at?
At the intersection, at the corner of 130 West and 400 South, or north, south, where am I at here? Huntingburg. It's just northwest of Huntingburg. In those bottoms where it floods a lot, Sand
Yes,
Hill.
sure. We're not talking about the big bridge across Hunley Creek, are we?
Yeah, yes, yes,
Okay, the one that's right in that curve.
yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, that one's
Got
a floodplain. It's in a curve. There's a lot of price that's gonna go into that, to get that thing built. So,
yeah.
So at this point, we're not on the hook for anything.
No.
JCA has looked at it and they said, this is what we think it'll cost, and that's
Yeah.
about as far as we've got.
that's it. I just wanna make sure you guys are still good with it. If you have any big things, I will get the proposals from you guys. And then you guys can look at them, go through them. And have something to talk about.
Is there any value of having another engineering firm?
I have contacted 2 other engineering firms. One is so busy right now, that they don't want to do it, and the other one, I don't want to talk about it, I'm not gonna say names, but I've been talking to them for 4 months and I still haven't got a proposal. So,
Very well, thank you.
at a certain point, you gotta draw a line.
Okay, so you'll email that information to us?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes, I will.
and bridge inspection?
Okay, so our next round of bridge inspection is going on. This is just an update more than anything. In case you get any questions from any consultants. Our next round, I'm currently creating it as we speak. They'll be sending in RFPs within the next couple of months, probably April, May. We'll make a decision in June, July. We'll get started on our next round.
I know we want to we want to get different eyes on it occasionally, or.
Yeah, it's no more than 2 cycles per
We do
consultant.
2 cycles with.
Yeah, well, we only do 1 cycle with structure. This is our first one. So they are still in the hunt for the second one. But I'm gonna keep my eyes open.
Sure. That sounds good.
So that's that. Like I said, nothing major. And then Bridge 143, we obviously haven't made a whole lot of progress due to the weather.
I don't have anything additional for the engineer.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Brown?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, I think you're gonna stay for the meeting for that. Thank you. Okay, Jenny Lambert,
Good morning.
good morning.
Hopefully mine's an easy one, not as long as.
Hey.
I am going to give you another copy. This is the copy of the email that I've already sent, but on the last page, there's a grant agreement from the Community Foundation. And Elmer, I will get you a copy of that also.
Okay, I have a copy of your email. What did you say was the end of it?
I added a grant agreement from the Community Foundation or for the Lilly grant that they have proposed that's not signed yet. And it looks
Was
like,
that Was that the attachment?
no, it was not.
Okay.
I didn't realize
Okay.
you would be here this morning, so I just made a copy to bring to the meeting, but I will get you one.
Yeah, leave it with Sandy and she'll get it to me.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, so what I'm here today is to announce, I'm excited about this, the Lilly Foundation, we've been working with them and the Community Foundation. I know you're all familiar with the grant through the Lilly Foundation. So as part of that, they gifted probation a total of $76,666.67 for a 5-year period. So what we had talked about doing with that money is to divide that out over 5 years, which would be equal to $15,333.34 per year to pay a part-time probation intern. So what I'm asking today is for you to create this position. It will be a temporary part-time paid probation intern position. I know it's a mouthful. This is a gift. There's no match requirements. The county doesn't have to take it over at any point. So this would be in place for 5 years. And at that point, then we would have to just reevaluate, but when the money's gone, the money would be gone. But this is exciting for me because most of you know probation officers are carrying a very heavy caseload at this point. And our hope is to alleviate some of that caseload. And so what I'm asking is for a range of hours, and I talked with Sandy about this, a range of hours and a range of pay. They're going to be either bachelor level or master level students. So I can't set a set number of hours because I may get an intern that has 240 hours due within one semester. Or I may get one that has 500 hours due within one semester. So I'm asking for that range just to kind of be open and for the salary and the hours to both be open. But I outlined in the letter some different duties that we would look at having this intern do. I just found out though that one of my staff members likely is going to need surgery soon, so, and maybe out for 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm hoping to get this all approved and get someone in place maybe on March 1st. And then have them help with other duties also, more so than what I've outlined in here. Whether that's administering drug screens, helping prepare paperwork for the court.
I've reviewed it. I'm satisfied with the outline and moving forward with it.
Yes, I'd be satisfied.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes, no, I'm satisfied. As I read through this, I think I understand everything. The one thing, I suppose, and maybe Sandy can help with this, I suppose there will have to be a wage classification set for this individual. And does that 973 to 1362, does that fall into one of the classifications?
I don't know that answer. It's a good question. And with it being an intern, I don't know if the county has other paid interns. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
You don't know. Okay.
The only thing that's close to is we have summer help with the highway department, and they're, I think we really call them interns, but we do have temporary part-time people.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how interns were treated as far as the wage classification is concerned.
So within.
So what range are you talking? It was at 973 to 1362 per hour. And those figures, we came up with those because of the amount per year, and then we had to figure FICA in there. So we had to take it with like a little over $1,100 off of that 15,000 right off the bat. And then it was divided out between 20 to 28 hours. They came up with different totals. So if they work 28 hours, they would get paid 973. If they work 20 hours, they would get paid 1362.
And for bachelor and master level people, that's not a huge amount of pay, but it's better than an unpaid intern.
Right.
To pay the hours. So I think, you I think agree that it's going to be attractive to certain people.
And the goal is, with the grant also is to get educated people and keep them here in our positions. I have an intern, or I have a probation officer now that did an internship. She had 500 hours over probably 11 years ago. She worked for free that whole time. She's still here 11 years later, which is a great asset for us. So I think it's a great thing, and I'm excited that we were gifted this money. I really am.
So when we create a new classification, is that a commissioner or is that a council? I don't know, Michael, that answer.
I'm sorry.
When you create a new classification, is that your a commissioner thing or is that a council thing?
I think we would create the classification. The council would have to fund it.
Right. So if we do create a new classification, just call it internship, or I don't know.
Paid internship.
Yeah. And I'm not sure we have to do that. I don't, like I say, I don't know how we were treating interns before, whether they even fall into that salary classification or not.
I believe for the purposes of today, we can create the position for a time period of 5 years within these pay parameters, and the details of back office administrative things can be handled outside of the meeting. So I'll make the motion that we approve the request from the probation department to approve $15,333.34 per year to pay a part-time probation intern, pending any approval necessary from the county council.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? Yes. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And I
Thank you.
believe you're in good shape there. Thank you so much for working through this.
Thanks.
There you go.
I want a minute before.
Okay, we have Veteran Services Officer Amber Harris is here. I've invited her to come and introduce herself to the board and to give us an update on how things have been going. When was your first day?
My first day was September 22nd last year.
Okay, so you have 5 months under your belt.
Yes.
How are things going? And just let us know how whatever you want to tell us.
I didn't know that I was supposed to type a report, but I can at least type one and send it out if you want me to.
It's not necessary.
Okay. I took office on September 22nd of 2020. I started taking notes on October 6th of who I was seeing and what they were coming in for or calling me about. And since October 6th to last Thursday, the average number of calls I fielded per week for information has been 10 calls. And the average appointments per week has been 1 appointment a day or 3 appointments per week. And I usually have about 5 walk-ins per week. And it's mostly veterans who want to introduce themselves or ask what benefits they do qualify for. And since September 22nd, I've only had 2 missed appointments, which I'm very proud of the veterans and families for keeping their appointments with me. Most of the appointments I have are for veterans to apply for VA health benefits, which is to be seen at a VA hospital or clinic for their service-connected or any other disabilities that they may have. And the most common disability claim that I have been submitting has been for tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears due to loud noise exposure. Approximately 85% of the veterans that I see are Vietnam era. And so I have actually partnered with Hearts to Heart Hospice to assist them with the veterans that they do see. And they can call me with any questions or have their families contact me to see what benefits the veterans may have, or upon the veterans passing, what benefits the family may be entitled to. I am accredited through the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs with my service, Veteran Service Officer accreditation. I also have applied for American Legion accreditation, and I only need to send in some forms, and I will be accredited through them. I think that's all I have. Any questions?
Are you still, are the vans, have they been running?
No, they have not been running. They're looking to start them very soon, hopefully within the next month. I do need to go down to Louisville, to their Louisville VA to be indoctrinated and figure out what I'm doing, how to do it. And Ken Sheeter is looking to go with me because he would also like to get the information that I'll be getting.
Because that's one of the things that I know took a lot of time of your predecessor, but since COVID, a lot of that has been stopped. Is that the reason the vans haven't been running?
Yes, and they've actually been retrofitting the vans. They have disposable seat covers now, disinfectant wipes, and I believe a plexiglass shield for the vans that they have installed.
Okay, so I think that'll be a benefit for a local veteran once that's up and running.
Yes.
So no, I appreciate you introducing yourself to the board. I've met you, but I didn't know if the others had.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Heard good things so far, so thanks for the good job you did.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brahmas?
Yes, I appreciate, Amber, that all that you're doing, and I did stop in to see you one time, if you recall, and I think we were interrupted by a client, and so our visit lasted about 2 minutes, and that was probably back in late October, early November, and then my schedule was interrupted, so I do plan to get in there again sometime and have a chat.
I look forward to that.
Thank you very much. All right, I think that's all we had for you tonight. I appreciate you coming in.
All right.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so the next item we have is for 9:55. We have a couple minutes. Let's try to squeeze in a couple quick items here. I had an employee contact me on the day that we had the 2 hour delay, which was a Tuesday, and that employee, the general office staff was given the ability to come in on a 2 hour delay due to the snowy conditions, make sure that people got here safely. One person at a department, their department head asked them to come in early to keep continuity of business of what they were doing out there. That employee contacted me and said, well, I came in at the regular time as opposed to 2 hours later, like some of my coworkers. Am I going to be compensated extra for this time, or do I get to leave 2 hours early, anything like that? And I told the employee that I understood where they were coming from, that what, on one hand, why did they come in 2 hours early and somebody else got to come in at 10 o'clock? And I understand that could be something they would think about, I guess. That I think the same employee contacted Sandy, and I've reviewed it since then. We have a policy in the handbook, it's policy 3.16, and it states that under emergency situations, if you're an essential worker, you may not get those times off if the county is open on a delay or closed for some purpose. I think Sandy shared that with the employee. I've reviewed it since then, and I agree that this is an essential worker. The essential worker was paid for the time that they were here. And I don't know what to say to them other than, I'm sorry that a coworker of yours didn't come in at the same amount of time, but you were paid for the time that you were here. I just want to open that for discussion. I told the employee I would bring it up to see if any of the commissioners had any thoughts on the situation. So I'll start with Commissioner Hofstadter.
I see where they would have a concern, but having looked at the handbook and the policy, I would tend to agree with you that we need to just follow the policy that's in place in the handbook.
Commissioner Ramos?
Just some questions. The employee is the employee employed in one of the departments that we traditionally consider essential, such as dispatch, the sheriff, the community corrections, any of those?
So they aren't in any of them that are listed here, but during this pandemic, they are a person that works at the health department. So I would say that it's a very easy argument to say that they are an essential worker at this time.
Okay.
So they were doing something with the COVID situation.
Yes.
With vaccines.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a gray area. If everyone in the department is not treated as an essential worker, can a department head simply choose which one he or she wants to be classified as essential? I don't know. There's always the option for comp time.
So I guess what I would, one thing that I would be afraid to get started would be, let's say the highway department. If one of the front office ladies, they come in at 8 o'clock, when somebody at the assessor's office doesn't come in until 10 o'clock, they have similar duties, except one is works for a department that's essential, so we would expect the highway department person to be there, but we wouldn't somebody else. Will that person now claim that they deserve a couple hours of additional pay or compensation of some sort?
Yeah.
The way I think, and I don't want to speak for Sandy too much, but I think what I understood from her was, if you're her position, and I agree with it, is if your supervisor says it's essential that you come in and you can make it safely, then I think that falls within what's here. For example, there were other courthouse people that, even though they didn't need to be here till 10, they still came at 8 o'clock because there was essential work that had to be done, such as payroll.
Yes. Yeah.
My initial thought on it when the employee contacted me was, well, you came in 2 hours earlier than one of your coworkers. Maybe you leave 2 hours earlier in the afternoon and no harm, no foul. But after reviewing the policy, I don't think that would have been the right action either. I think the right action is the person worked, the person got paid, they were an essential employee. I'm happy to go a different direction if the two of you would like, but I think that's the direction I would start from.
Well, and a little bit of a similar situation. I mean, you mentioned the highway department. I'm not sure everybody in the highway department comes in on that particular day, came in at 8 o'clock. But those who were essential did. You know, so, and community corrections might be another example of that. Obviously, the security staff is essential. Were the others essential? I don't know. So maybe there's other examples of that throughout the county.
So is your position to say, follow the policy as we understand it, that the person who was paid for their time, no additional compensation or comp time?
I think so, yes.
Fish House, you're on board with that?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for your comments on that. I appreciate it. The next thing on our agenda is a phone call to Mr. Himsel. He wanted to put a note of some sort on the cases that are in the courthouse, and I told him I would give him a call if he wasn't going to come in. This should be a brief item, then we will get into the jail project at 10 o'clock. Hi, Junie.
Yes,
Hey, this is Chad Blessinger. I have you on speakerphone at the public commissioners meeting to discuss the historical placard we would maybe put on the cabinets. So I just wanted to, I'll let you, if you want to, give a brief summary to the board of what you would like to see happen, please.
okay, did you get my email?
I did.
Okay, wanted to see how that, if they've all seen that, there's not much more to say. I just noticed that through some of Margaret Wilson's papers that happened. And I had somebody go down and look if there's anything on there. But I looked the other day, and there's this small one on there that's really not legible anymore. And I thought that the cabinets ought to be recognized as such.
Okay, for those in attendance, on February 5th of 1917, a group of women from something called the 20th Century Literary Club petitioned the Board of County Commissioners to purchase a cabinet to store historical articles and relics. If you enter the courthouse, there's a security person in the center of the hall. To the left is the historical cabinet that we're talking about now that was donated by this group in 1917. My understanding is the cabinet that mirrors it on the right side or the north end of the building was built at a later time to look similar to the other one, and it also holds historical items. So a petition was granted, and the cabinet was placed in the corridor of the courthouse where it sits today. It's and Margaret Wilson is a person of some note within our community and our history. And the placard that they would like to put on it, or that has been presented so far, says this. It says history cabinet. Was approved on February 5th, 1917 by the commissioners, resulting from a petition from the 20th Century Literary Club. So that would be the Ireland Historical Society has volunteered to buy it, and Mr. Himsel will install it if he has consent of this board. It will be 2 inches by 6 inches, and I believe it is a nice gesture from Mr. Himsel and the Historical Society, and I would be in favor of moving forward with it.
I would agree with you, Chad. I'm in favor.
And Mr. Ramos?
Yes, I agree. Question, would it replace the one that is on there that's hardly legible anymore?
I think we should leave the one that's on there.
Okay, okay.
Well, it's on
Either way, I'm in favor of it.
Yes.
I removed it.
And I think if you do remove it, kind of damage the cabinet in a way. In there.
I think it's part of the history because it says 1917. I mean, it has the information, a little information on it, so I like keeping it there.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we allow the Ireland Historical Society to buy and install the 2x6-inch plate that was been proposed on the cabinet.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
aye,
The motion carries. Mr. Hensel, thank you for your time and efforts on this.
Well, I appreciate, your guys' effort on such a small matter, but you gotta go through the protocol to get it done, and, we don't want any accolades for doing that, that's just part of what we do.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye. You too. Okay, being 10 o'clock, we have a number of items to do today regarding the jail project. The first item up is a bond sale conversation with Matt Eckerly from Baker Tilly. They are our financial advisor. And I believe I see Matt is on the Zoom call. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to attend virtually this morning, especially with the fresh snow that's falling outside up here and I'm sure down there. One of the items that needs to be addressed by this body as a part of the process of pursuing the financing for the jail project is that you need to determine the method that you would like to utilize for the sale of the bonds. And I'm going to just quickly run through a few PowerPoint slides. And is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, Matt, I believe I have it set up where you can do that already.
Okay. All right. Hopefully all of you can see this. And when we're talking about the method of the bond sale, we're really talking about two primary ways to sell bonds, sell municipal bonds, like we're talking about the county issuing. The first method is what we call a competitive sale. And the second method is what we call a negotiated sale. Now, before getting into a little bit of the detail between the two, I'll just give you a broad overview of what each of those means. A competitive sale means that at the time that we determine, in coordination with the entire working group, will be the sale, we'll receive bids from interested underwriters. So say that 11 a.m. Eastern on April 26, 2021. At that time, all interested underwriters submit their bids, and we have an electronic platform that we use to manage the sale. We receive all the bids, we verify the numbers, and then you, the county, would award the bonds to the lowest bidder, whoever offers the best interest rate. It's a transparent process. A lot of people like it because, date and time determined, you get the bid, you see who's got the best bid, you go with it. The other method is what we call a negotiated sale. And in that method, what would happen is the county would select an underwriter to essentially add to the working group from the time of the selection through the sale or pricing of the bonds. They would be involved in all of the working group conversations, assist with the rating process, and be able to provide feedback throughout the process on how the bond market would view different items. And it also gives them time to work with their base of potential purchasers for a longer period of time to kind of prime the pump so that when you're actually going through the pricing or sale of the bonds, they'll hopefully have everything in place to execute. Now, there are a few kind of more nuanced differences between the two, and I'm not going to go through each one, but I'm going to highlight the important points and the points that most often come up when I'm having these types of conversations, both with clients and internally with my colleagues. a lot of times we look at competitive versus negotiated as, one of the benefits of having a negotiated transaction is, especially when you're looking at more complicated transactions, it makes sense to allow the underwriter to be involved for as long as possible so that they have a maximum amount of time to tell the story of those bonds to their potential purchaser base in order to increase the odds of getting them placed. We see them a lot with complicated TIF transactions, economic development transactions, where you don't have the strongest security in place. It allows them more time to kind of work with that and get their purchaser base comfortable with the type of deal you're looking at. For more what I call vanilla financings, where you have a relatively strong revenue base, a dependable source of security, a lot of times with property tax-backed bonds, and in your circumstances, we're looking at the bonds being paid from your correctional and rehab facilities lit with a backup from property taxes. So the bond market's going to look at these bonds as if they're property tax bonds. Even if you never, through the life of the bonds, use a dime of property taxes to pay them, they're going to be looking at that backup security, the primary source of security. When there's more stable revenue sources in play, typically you see competitive transactions because there's more of a demand for those types of transactions in the market for those types of bonds. They, I don't want to say they sell themselves, but they're easier to sell because the bond market itself better understands what's in play, what's being used to pay the bonds, the security behind them, the project types. You see them more for public facilities type financing. If you're looking at more general purpose transactions, you typically see more of the competitive sales versus negotiated sales. And by general purpose, I mean, and again, I'm probably oversimplifying in my description, but your run-of-the-mill municipal public projects that you have going on, that you're not going through a more complicated project structure. If you're doing, a school, a library, a fire station, or a jail, those are all viewed as more traditional municipal projects. And so they have an easier story to tell into the bond market. Another thing you want to take into account is market conditions. Are you looking at a more volatile market or a more stable market? Is there a lot of demand in the market? What we're seeing right now in the municipal bond market is that the demand for municipal debt is really outpacing supply. Now that, as we get deeper into the year, that's going to probably even out a little bit more. But when you're in more stable interest rate environments, when you're not looking at wild fluctuations in the market, and, despite all of the market upheaval you've been hearing about lately, the bond market, municipal bond market in particular, has been relatively stable. There's been a lot of demand in the market for municipal debt on a national basis, and Indiana issuers have certainly been benefiting from that. So, with the competitive sale, you're not as concerned with random market fluctuations that could potentially throw your plans for a sale off. If you're pursuing a negotiated transaction, you can try to time the market with the underwriter. And if the market's looking bad one day, you can kind of pull it back and go back to price another day. So that's one of the advantages of a negotiated deal, is you have that flexibility to get more real-time feedback from the market makers themselves to determine whether or not there's something in play that demands you to pull back and not actually sell the bonds at that time. Another consideration is when you have a more traditional bond structure, when you're not dealing with a lot of complicating factors surrounding other outstanding debt, certain project timelines, trying to provide funds to private entities, competitive sales are easier to effectuate because, again, the market understands what's going on, understands the type of deal that you're working with, and you're not having to, again, kind of tell the story of what you're trying to accomplish, which would demand a little bit more effort on the part of the underwriters if they're trying to get the mutual funds to the smaller regional banks, the individual investors comfortable with the credit. If you have, again, a more vanilla bond structure, that's easier for them to, pitch to their investor base on a shorter time period. A couple other things that I want to talk about in terms of fees. I know one of the questions we often get when we're talking about competitive versus negotiated, when you're looking at the underwriter fees, we set, as your financial advisor with your bond counsel, we set the parameters for, okay, here's what a minimum bid you can submit for a competitive sale. And they can bid anything from 0 up to whatever we set as that kind of minimum discount. And that's how the underwriters get paid at the time of the transaction. And at the sale, as a part of their bid, they'll include all their interest rates, but they'll also include, here's what we're taking as our cut. On a negotiated sale, what we would do, assuming you don't have an existing relationship with an underwriter that you'd like to leverage, we would typically distribute a request for proposals to the active underwriters in the state of Indiana. And as a part of that request for proposals, we'd ask for, okay, give us what you think your interest rates would be, understanding that they are indicative rates based on market conditions right now, that rates won't be locked until the day of the sale, but also their fees. And that gives you a chance to look at the fees that all of these underwriters are going to be charging you and determining upfront, okay, this is what we're going to have in terms of the fees. Typically, we don't see a whole lot of variation, especially for a deal like this, but to speak colloquially for a second, it gives you a chance to kind of hammer them on that and say, this is one thing that's really important to us as a county. So they would have to put those in the proposals. You lock them up front instead of at the time of the sale, they're having to figure, okay, not only do we have to provide the best interest rates possible, but their fees get figured into that total pricing when you're awarding the sale of the bonds. So at that time, they'd have to provide not only here are our interest rates, but also a discount, their fees at a level where they think would be low enough to get them the deal. And then the other thing that I want to highlight here in terms of the difference between competitive and negotiated is with a negotiated deal, you can work a little bit more with the underwriter, well, a little bit more. You can work directly with the underwriter to determine a bond structure and a couponing structure. And when I'm talking about the coupons, I'm talking about the interest rates that you're paying on a semi-annual basis to set that up to maybe accomplish specific goals of the county as the issuer. And when I say specific goals, I'm talking financial goals, where you could set it up and maybe allow for higher interest rates at the tail end that buyers will potentially pay a premium for, allowing you to issue less in debt because they're going to pay you maybe $1.05 for every dollar in bonds, but you're paying a higher interest rate. And then with that higher coupon rate, you would also have the opportunity to potentially, when those bonds become callable, achieve more savings from refinancing if the market is in your favor at that time. So you can work with the underwriters a little bit more to structure the deal to what you believe to be your needs at the time of the issuance. I'll say that for transactions like what you're talking about here, we typically don't see a whole lot of play on that front, but it's something that some people like to have available as an option just to kind of work through those machinations with the underwriter. Just to step back and kind of go away from the presentation to kind of wrap it up, what I'll say is, from my personal experience, working with deals that are payable from, property taxes as the ultimate backup, every jail project that I've worked on has utilized a competitive sale. That's the sale that I've worked with most frequently on these types of transactions. When I say these types, when I'm looking at property tax backed bonds, as I've mentioned before, in the bond market, when you're looking at Indiana credits, property taxes are considered the gold standard. That's going to be the strongest credit. You're going to get the most eyes on it. You're likely going to get the most competitive interest rates. You're going to likely get the best rating as compared to if you were looking at a pure income tax transaction or some other revenue type issue, whether that would be food and beverage or a tip or something like that. That being said, the negotiated transaction will give you the ability to work with that underwriter throughout. If that's important to the county, I can certainly understand, and we would be happy to coordinate a request for proposals process. One of the things that we would provide in either circumstance is at the conclusion of the bond sale, one of the most frequent questions we get is, okay, here's, our rates are locked in, the bonds are sold. How did we do? Was this a good deal? Was this a bad deal? How did we compare to the market? We'll prepare kind of a full debrief for everyone so you can see, okay, here's what Du Bois County got. Here's what XYZ County elsewhere in Indiana got last week. Here's where, a county in Ohio or school district in Michigan, just to give you an idea of where you landed in relation to the market. I'll also add, with competitive deals lately, we have seen no shortage of interest and with no concerns of getting bidders on these types of deals. If you've got a rating and a strong rating with property tax bonds, there's no shortage of bids these days. So, obviously I can't guarantee that will be the case in April when we look to sell these bonds. But right now, the market outlook for issuers is pretty strong, and we don't have any significant concerns at this time based on what we're seeing. So I threw a lot at you. I'll step back for a minute. You don't have to make this decision today, but we would appreciate if you would make the decision at your next meeting if you don't make it today, because if you do want to go the negotiated route, we need to set the wheels in motion to get that request for proposals out as soon as possible. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate the presentation. I've looked through the pros and cons of both sides. I have an opinion that I have, but I would ask if Mr. Shireman, he's in attendance, he's our construction manager, and he's been through some of these experiences. Do you have any comments on this, Mr. Shireman?
Very rarely have I seen a negotiated sale. Most of them as Matt said.
And in my, from what I've learned about them, it seems like a more transparent, open, fair process for a competitive bid. I believe that's why most units would use it. I'd be in favor of moving forward with a competitive bid. Commissioner Hofstadter?
I think I tend to agree with you. It seems to be the best way to do it.
Commissioner Bromas?
Yes, I would agree. I know as Matt was going through that, and you did an excellent job of even getting me to understand it. I kept thinking, well, the competitive bidding process seems to be the best. And then when you wrapped it all up, I think that's what basically you told us. And the other question I had was, how do we know whether in which way we get the better deal? And what I heard you say was you can give us an after the fact debriefing on that, but then it's too late to change. So I agree. I think the competitive bidding process is the way to go.
Mr. Eckerly, is there anything you need from us today other than a formal motion and acceptance of bond method?
No, there's not anything we need. We'll just get a copy of the minutes from Sandy for our records, because this is the decision of the issuer. I need to have that on file in case the Securities and Exchange Commission asks me in 2 years, why did the county go with a competitive bid? So if Sandy, you could just provide that to me as this wraps up, and then we'll get the process going towards that end. And, we'll communicate a lot more on the topic as we move forward, but this allows Rick and I to start setting up the necessary processes to effectuate a competitive sale. So thank you very much.
I'll make a motion that the county select a competitive bidding method of sale for our bonds. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We got it. Okay, Matt, so I think we have that selection made, so we should be fine there. Next up on the agenda, we have, I believe, We have Eric Weflin, Sanjay Patel, and Mark Shireman are going to give us an update on our documents.
And before we begin on that, they're not in the camera angle, but the 3 members of the building corporation are present in person as well. We can bring them into view as needed. Just let us know.
Hi, thank you, Commissioners, Sandy, Greg. I'll talk a little bit about the bid process, and then I think Eric's going to talk to you a little bit about the drawings. So, the goal is to have the plans and specs ready in digital form and in paper form on Monday, that's February 22nd. Then on March 10th, so that's when the plans will be ready for the contractors to view, pick up, and study. March 2nd at 10 a.m., we're going to be in the basement of the jail in what we call a pre-bid meeting. In the pre-bid meeting is where potential bidders will come and attend. And we'll be in there with RQAW. The potential bidders will ask us a lot of questions, and we'll make presentations and discuss the plans and the whole bidding process. March 22nd.
So that would be on March 2nd, will be the pre-bid meeting.
10 a.m. in the basement.
Documents be ready for contractors on February 22nd.
Sandy. That's okay. I'm bringing all those over. So, Les Smith is with me here. Les is our superintendent. He was our superintendent in Vanderbilt County and Crawford County and Washington County and Scott County. Did I miss him? Jails.
Yeah, we'll work with it.
You wanted to go, so anyway. I also wanted to say before I go on that Chad, your steering committee has worked countless hours in this project, in this pre-construction, and it's you guys have done a great job. Okay, March 22nd, we'll open up the bids at 6 p.m. in public, and no action will be taken. You know, we'll open up the bids. We'll see if they have the proper things inside of their envelopes. We'll thank the bidders. They'll go, they'll leave. And then over the next few days, RQAW and us will review those bids, and then we'll report back to you in a few days.
Mr. Sharman,
Yes.
the location of the bid opening,
That
that
is-
would be in this room?
Yeah, we have it here, set up here. Yes. And again, no action will be taken at that time. Good question, Chad. Now, we've notified the area regional plan rooms. A plan room is a place, just so you know, a plan room is a place where bidding contractors are signatory to and check all the time on the internet. So Builders Exchange in Indianapolis and Builders Exchange in Louisville, Kentucky. Reed Construction Data is in Georgia, and Dodge Analytics is all over the United States. So we have been talking to these people, letting them know this is coming up. We're going to give them the latest notice to bidders today or tomorrow to keep them up to date. So the contractors all over 2 states that are interested in jobs like this, they'll have access to the plans and they'll know what's coming up. We have also reached out to a whole lot of contractors that we know in the area that bid on jails. So there's a lot of interest. We're getting a lot of interest, and I think we will get a lot of interest. So Mr. Snare is going to get the notice to bidders in 2 local papers twice, which we appreciate. I think that's probably about all I have at the moment, Chad. I think Eric's going to need to talk to you all about the plans and the approval of the plans. Okay.
Could I-
Marklin, are you available? Or actually, Commissioner Brown, please.
Yeah, could I have the times of those meetings, the pre-bid opening, the pre-bid meeting and then the bid opening?
Yes, the pre-bid meeting is March 2nd at 10 a.m.
10 a.m., okay,
in the basement of the sheriff's office.
yes,
And the bid opening is March 22nd at 6 p.m. here.
6 p.m., okay.
And we'll also, we'll have some some of our folks hanging around out near the sidewalk to direct people where they need to go for the bid. I'm gonna step back and let Eric.
Now, I am advertising that as a commission meeting.
It'll have to
That's fine,
it'll have to be a public meeting, yeah.
that's fine, yeah, good. Okay,
The pre-bid meeting will not be a commissioner meeting. The March 22nd meeting to receive bids will be a meeting, a public meeting. Right. And that'll be the only item on the agenda unless something comes up between now and then.
But are we able to attend those, even if it's not a commissioner meeting?
sure,
Okay,
okay. Okay, we'll let Eric have it.
Thank you. Okay. Sanjay, are you there? Or Eric?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Eric. Hi, Commissioners. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk with you this morning remotely. Much appreciated. Really, all I've got is just that I think with your approval, the documents will be released on Monday and be available to the contractors. RQAW will attend all the meetings that Mark mentioned throughout the bidding process. Our primary focus for the next 4 weeks during the bidding process is going to be very responsive to contractor questions. What that means is that as the contractors get into the documents, they're going to have questions, they're going to ask for clarifications, and in an effort to make sure that they have all the information that they need and things are clearly defined in their mind, we'll issue addenda during that process. Typically, it's not atypical to see 3 or 4 addenda come out during the bidding process. So we would probably expect to give them, I would say probably 2 weeks. Mark, is probably a week and a half to 2 weeks is probably a good first run for them to just get the drawings, get into them, start doing their takeoff, start understanding the scope. And then what you'll see is a ramp up of questions and clarification requests. Many times the information that they're asking about is available in the drawings and the specifications, but we just help them identify where. And then sometimes there are items that need additional clarification, and they bring that to us, and we respond with the appropriate answers, and those are listed in an addendum. So that's really what we'll be doing for the next few weeks, other than attending the meetings with Shireman. If you have any questions about that process and what we're going to be doing during that time, let me know.
So, Mr. Wetland, the action of the board today should be that we approve the construction documents that have been provided for us. But you're saying there is not a formal document that we signed for that. If it's in the minutes that we have approved what you've given to us, then that's sufficient.
Yep, that we're going out to bid with the security center and community corrections project that the committee's met on for months, and that the commissioners were sent. I think it was a 95% set was the last set that we sent to the commissioners a week or two ago. And we just need to be told, that you want that to hit the street on Monday. I don't know if Rick, there's more formal things that you need in terms of approval of the project, but generally, yes, we just need to be instructed to release that project to the public.
I believe I'm in favor of that. I would ask Council President Fleesner, he's been looking at these items as well. I just wanted to see if you had any feedback for us, or if you would be in favor of the commissioners moving forward with the construction documents as they've been presented to us.
Yes, I'm in favor of it. I reviewed them, and I agree with that.
Okay. Mr. Schneider, is there anything else from your standpoint that you think we need to worry about on the approval of the document?
No, just the motion to approve and to release them is what it sounds like our RQAW meeting.
So are they?
Chat.
There will be complete.
They're in the process of being completed. They will be sent to the printers tomorrow. And then they'll hit the streets on Monday.
Okay. That being said, I will make a
Chad, hang on a second. I just wanted to let you and everyone else know that per statute IC 11-12-4-5, which requires the drawings, to be approved by the Department of Corrections. That has been sent to them. I have a confirmation that they are reviewing them. So sometime over the next week or so, we should see a response from them approving that. Get a letter from them basically approving those documents.
Is there any issue with us approving it prior to them doing it?
No, I think you're fine to approve it.
Okay, that being said, I will make a motion that the board approve and release the construction documents as they've been presented to us.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous, so that motion is approved.
I just wanted, I mean, I thought I had heard him say they weren't completed yet, and then you're accepting them.
They gave us
I want to make sure I got it right.
Right, they gave us 99% drawing, so there's some final tweaks that they're doing before they go to the printer. But substantially, they're finished. Okay, next up, we have Mr. Hall with Barnes Thornburg.
Sure, thanks, Chad. So now that the plans have been developed for the jail and they're ready to go out on the street, we're ready to start moving forward with the first approvals of the financings. And the financing will be a lease financing because of the size of the project. It will be backed by the jail income tax, and then also a property tax backup to the extent that the jail income tax is not sufficient. And that allows the county to get a better rating and a lower interest rate on the financing. So in order to complete the lease financing, the commissioners, as you know, established a building corporation. That building corporation is gathered this morning to meet and consider the initial approvals as well. So the step to be taken by the commissioners and the building corporation this morning generally is the approval of that lease between the county and the building corporation. So the way the financing works, the building corporation actually issues bonds. Those bond proceeds are used to construct the project. The proceeds are administered through a trust indenture so that claims will come before the commissioners for approval and then submission to the trustee and payment. So the building corporation itself doesn't have to be involved in the intricacies of the construction of a jail, but the building corporation will issue the bonds that generate the proceeds. And then the lease between the county and the building corporation provides that the county leases the facility from the building corporation. And by the facility, I mean the existing jail and the expansion and the community corrections center and the expansion. And then the county pays lease rentals under that lease to the building corporation, and the building corporation uses that money to pay the bondholders. That also gets all condensed under a trust indenture so that the county just has to write a semi-annual check to the trustee that then pays the bondholders. So that's generally how the structure of the financing works. If the building corporation and the commissioners act favorably today, then the council would consider this next week. They also have to approve the lease. And then it would come back before the building corporation or before the Board of Commissioners on March 15th for a public hearing and final approval. And then we would move forward into the working with the rating agency and finalizing financing documents for a bond sale later in May after you've received your construction bids in April. So what's important about that timing is that you would have the construction bids in hand before you ever actually sell bonds, so that you would borrow the right amount of money, not too much and not too little. So when we talk about the approvals of the lease that will be considered today and in the coming weeks, all those approvals will be based on maximum parameters, which give you the flexibility in the event that bids are not as expected. But the upshot is that the county would never borrow more money than is exactly needed to finance the project. So if there's any, I'd be happy to take any questions about how this works generally and then proceed to the specific action items.
I've reviewed the lease, and I've asked whatever questions I've had. Do either of the other commissioners have any questions or comments on the lease with the building corporation? I don't have any. Mr. Brown?
No, I don't think I do either. I think I understand what Rick has laid out there.
Okay, Mr. Hall, then, would you, is there a formal process that you would like us to go through, or just a motion and an approval of the lease?
Well, there is a formal process here in order that would be best to proceed with. So the first item that should be considered is the resolution of the Board of Commissioners that approves the lease. And that resolution indicates that you've received general plans and specs for the jail, that you have a formal lease before you. That lease is payable from the income taxes that I indicated earlier, and to the extent that those jail income taxes are not sufficient from a property tax backup, and it provides for a maximum term of not to exceed 20 years with an annual lease rental of $2.25 million and bonds not to exceed $35 million. Those numbers have been provided to us from Baker Tilly, from Matt, based on the construction estimates, and are, like I indicated earlier, are not to exceed amounts and provide flexibility. I think they're actually based on the maximum you could borrow with the jail tax. Also included in the resolution is approval of the building corporation. So the building corporation has been formed with Greg's assistance, and the resolution approves that, and it also ratifies the appointment of the 3 building corporation directors, Ken Schnauz, Tom Ofer, and Gil Eckerly. And then finally, in order to transfer the property, the site, the existing jail, to the building corporation so that it can be leased back, the county has to appoint appraisers and get an appraised value of this existing jail. It's kind of a silly requirement, but you have to receive back not less than the appraised value when you transfer it to the building corporation. So this resolution would also authorize the selection of appraisers that would then bring back appraisals at a future meeting.
It appears that these are set up in a number of resolutions, and we should handle them one at a time to meet all of the goals that we have for today, correct?
Sure. So everything that I just described is in the resolution that's before the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, so the very first resolution that we have here will be resolution number 2021-03. And it reads as follows: resolutions of the Board of Commissioners of DuBois County, Indiana, approving the terms and conditions regarding the leasing of certain jail facilities and taking other actions regarding the proposed lease. So that one is what has just been explained to us, and it would help meet the needs of the project. So Rick, do you believe we can go ahead and proceed with this at this time?
Yes.
I move that we approve the resolution 2021-03 as written. Second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. 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 Mr. Brahmas,
Yes.
are you in
I said
favor?
aye.
Okay. The motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, there's two action items for the building corporation today. And the first is a resolution that organizes the building corporation. This is their first meeting. And Greg, I think, has distributed the resolution. And it would approve the articles of incorporation and the bylaws of the corporation and certain other organizational matters. One thing that's needs to take place is the three directors need to decide among themselves who's going to serve in the capacity of president, vice president, and secretary treasurer. And there's no magic to who's in those positions. I guess if you intend to not be around in town in late April or May, it would probably be best that you serve as vice president, because the president and the secretary treasurer are going to have to sign a lot of documents around the bond closing, which we're anticipating in that late April, early May time period.
Hey, Greg, will you help direct the paperwork on what?
So I think what we need here then from the building corp is appointed officers who serve in those capacities as Rick has set forth. Is that correct, Rick?
Yes. The pay is the same for all three positions.
We make that decision and go for here.
Yes. We need a president, a vice president, and then the secretary treasurer. Go all fight. Rock, paper, scissors, man. All right, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is motion for slate of officers for Ken Schnauz to serve as president, Gil Eckerly to serve as vice president, Todd Oper to serve as secretary treasurer. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Let's take a motion for that, a second, and then a vote, please.
We'll make that motion. Okay, we have a first, a second. From, so yeah, you guys would, I guess, Mr. Chair, they would do their own.
Yes, that's correct.
So we have the first and second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? That takes care of the organization. Rick, what would be next for us?
The next is a resolution that approves the lease. So similar to the resolution that the commissioners just approved, that lease, and this would do the same from the building corp's perspective. That's all that's in the resolution.
You guys can sign it.
Thank you. Does ink color matter? So I think the president would ask for consent or a motion to.
Correct. So Mr. Schnauz, if you could ask for approval of the resolution as titled.
Is there a motion or any discussion? I think we were all. Yes. Motion. We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Next item, Rick.
They voted on the organizational resolution, right? Just not the nomination.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And those are the only action items for the board today.
Do they need to approve the articles of incorporation, or is that a part of the resolution?
That was part of the organizational resolution, the first resolution. So there should be 2 written resolutions for them to sign.
Taken care of.
Great.
That's the end of their business for the day.
That is the end. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. You guys want to go ahead and adjourn your meeting, then thank you for coming. I'll second it. They're ready to get out of the seat.
On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we do appreciate you stepping up and serving in this capacity at the building corporation. It is appreciated, and thank you.
Chad, that's all I had with respect to action items for the jail financing.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Rick.
Do you have anything else?
I do not.
So we've been through the documents, the bond sale conversation, and the resolution and lease, so I believe we are. That being said, I believe we are finished with this section of the meeting, and we can move on unless Eric, Sanjay, Mr. Shireman, or Matt have anything further with the justice project that we're doing. Hearing none,
We have
will
nothing
move
to add.
on.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everyone.
No. While there's people here, is there anybody in the crowd that has any comments on the jail project? Hearing none, we will move on. I'd like to have a 5-minute break.
All week. Yeah. I'm into all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You know, when I was thinking about it, I didn't realize how easy it would be. Every girl.
That's not right. That's right.
I'm good at stuff.
Radio silent. What business can we don't do it. What, I don't know. I'm sure you know that you're reasonable. Okay, let's continue on with our business today. It's about 10:48. We have a discussion on the bathroom at 11 and 11:15, but until 11, we'll just do some miscellaneous items. I have a few other ones to deal with here. First up, let's do this. We've been given our yearly documents from Grow Dubois counties and Dubois Strong. These are the numbers that we have put in the budget for the services that they will provide during 2021. The first one is a service.
Can you shut the door? I can't, I'm sure.
He'll find his way.
I'm sure Emerald was having trouble because I was having trouble.
So anyway, we have two agreements here. One, we'll start with the first one, Grow Dubois County. They are requesting that we sign the service agreement for 2021 in the amount of $40,000. And I would move that we approve the signing of this as it was approved last year.
I'll second.
First and second, is there any other discussion on the issue? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. It has a place just for my signature, so I will sign it and give it to the auditor to attest. There's that one. Maybe there's, usually they give us two copies, one for our records and one to send back to them for fact. They only provided the single document. For the second one, it's for the agreement between Dubois County, Indiana and Dubois Strong in the amount of $59,262.89. I move that we approve the agreement.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on the issue? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Keep it blue pen. I don't- mine is on the-
Is this supposed to be blue?
The other people signed it blue. So I was following suit. Thank you. So that motion carries and those agreements will be executed in return. Okay, so, maybe you want to cover that? So I did talk to Mr. Kaiser about this, they sent us the wrong cover letter for one of them, so the folder requested 40,000 instead of 141.
My blue pen disappeared. Here it is.
Right, yeah, we keep a copy and send, copy there. Next up, we have a resolution here. We will need a resolution number on it for the Indiana Finance Authority grant. I believe it's a $30,000 grant for the Regional Assistance Program, I think is what it was called.
Well, I thought this one coming up for their meeting before, I already got that scheduled to be number 5.
This will be resolution number 2021-05.
I'd like to get a word out so I can print the minutes.
This was, I believe, Mr. Schneider went back and forth with the attorney for the IFA on this, and this is the final version that you provided. And in general, this is a. You printed it and brought it in, right?
That's almost 2,000.
Okay.
So do not fill the date in at the top. You know, just use the signatures on if approved. They complete that.
Okay. So, Mr. Schneider, we're going to do the resolution, and then there's also an aid agreement, and the aid agreement is the one you're going to go through the date.
That is correct. Okay. And the resolution, I think, would be 04 based on.
Well, I have 04 already planned for that he skipped.
Perfect. Well, it would be fine. It's fine.
Okay, so we're going to be 05 here. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the resolution that I brought forth?
Yeah, would you explain that again, Chad, what that resolution is?
It's for us to accept the $30,000 grant that was presented to us regarding the sewer project study.
To pay for the study.
Okay.
The aspect of it and plans, we were eligible for a grant from the Indiana Finance Authority. In order for us to get
Yes.
that, we have to adopt this resolution and enter into a financial aid agreement with them.
Okay, yes, I understand.
Nick, are you okay? You've been on this a little bit.
I read through it this morning. There's a copy of it. Oh, thank you. You guys find it?
I move that we approve the resolution 2021-05 regarding the Indiana Finance Authority grant.
A second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I think there's another line in the back for you.
There's also a regionalization assistance program financial aid agreement that is an attachment to this that has its own various articles. These have been reviewed by County Attorney Schneider and have been found to be suitable for the purpose. So I move that we approve that as well.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. It's, I'll give this to you.
Can't keep up with you guys, don't tell me what to talk about.
So, the first approval was for.
I got the first one, the resolution.
And the second one is for this financial aid agreement. Is there anything else with the sewer project you would like to bring up?
Just to continue to move forward. She has been in contact with Birdseye. And I believe still, I don't know if the number got given to her wrong, but I got contacted the other day by Mr. Streeter. So he hasn't heard from them yet. So I passed her number along to him. But I believe the project continues to move forward.
Sounds good, thank you. Mr. Schneider, anything on the code of ordinances? I just have it on here as an ongoing thing.
Yes, that all went to them this week. I have a phone call to make sure I understand their next steps. They said that they will then be compiling the code into the final version. And that is a roughly 60-day process. So we've exchanged notes. We've exchanged notes and emails on that. And again, I believe they have everything that they need at this time. And like I said, I'll be discussing it on the phone with them tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. What about the bankruptcy? Any updates on that with the White Stallion?
I have not heard back from our council on that since I think there was a continued hearing last week. I was unable to attend that as I was in court in another jurisdiction besides bankruptcy court. I can reach out to them and get an update on the status of that matter.
All right, the land right-of-way issue you were working on previously, that little piece, is that all wrapped up?
It's not complete yet. We have to wait. I would say by our next commissioners meeting, beginning of March, will be the expiration of the 30-day requirement. And then our auditor's office will likely get an order to issue a tax deed.
Thank you. And then we have the quorum resolution to discuss. We have a few minutes until 11, so let's look at that. This would be resolution number 2021-04, a resolution of the DuBois County Board of Commissioners establishing policies and procedures to protect decorum and foster the effective administration of public meetings. So this has been passed around a couple times. We've given some feedback. I believe Mr. Brown has put some feedback into it. We've looked at it. I think it's in a form that I'm satisfied with. Commissioner Hofstadter, are you satisfied with the?
I'm satisfied with it. Yes, that's fine.
Commissioner Promise, are you satisfied with this resolution in its current form?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And is the county council, have they had a chance to discuss this yet? Please.
Yes, everyone we put their input into it, all the members and we approved it also, so.
We're
They have their own.
gonna approve it.
They have a revised version for their Monday meeting.
Is it very similar? Okay.
They're pretty much identical except for council and commission, I think.
And that was the goal. So
My
that's
next
good.
question would be, where do we post it in here? Because it says it has to be posted in here.
I think it would be, what I did with the previous decorum rules, I put a copy in the lectern, and I would think we could just stick one at the sign-in sheet. Usually the agenda that you give me, I end up putting it up there, but instead of the agenda, we can put a copy of this, maybe put a, those plastic slide things, a piece of paper can go in, and we can slide it in during our meeting, and the council can put theirs in during their meeting. If you know what I'm talking about, those protective slides, so. If you don't mind doing that, I appreciate that. I think that'd be a good way to post it, unless you have a different idea. Okay. All right, all in favor of resolution number 2021-04 regarding decorum, say aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve that. I apologize. I got a step ahead of myself. I have a first and a second. Okay, now all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, it's 11 o'clock. Let's talk about the discussion regarding the courthouse bathroom use. The potential of expanding hours of use that's been requested from or discussed with the city of Jasper and downtown Merchant. Here's my suggestion at this time. I would suggest that we agree to the promotional events that they like we've done historically. If they have a special event and they want to make a request such as Drop and Fest or chalk walk or downtown business thing where the children set up stands to sell items, you know, we take those on a case-to-case basis as requested. I would also be open to staying open Wednesday nights. Currently, we're open till 6 o'clock. I would be okay with us staying open till 7 or 8 o'clock as they need us. My suggestion would be that we secure the interior door with a prox reader. That's one of the card readers, so that it will automatically lock at a given program time. And that if county officials need to come in and out through that door at a given time, they would have to use their scan to get in. I believe currently there's a key, and there's a possibility that someone could leave that door and leave it open, and someone using the restroom after hours would have access to the courthouse. So we don't want that. So I would recommend that we put a prox reader there. And that I would also say that my suggestion would be that we hold off on any of the other repairs, the updates, things that Brent had talked to us about previously that may cost above $50,000. If we fully secured everything, I would say that we don't do those things other than the reader for the door, and that if we get any significant issues, we stop the practice of leaving it open. And my suggestion would be not doing the Saturdays and Sundays at this time, because we don't have anybody here. The expense is more than I see the value. So those would be my suggestions, but I just want to start there for a conversation.
I think I would be in favor of just keeping the current hours that we have set up. Go ahead and honor the special events, chalk walk, kids days, drop fest, so on and so forth. And if there's additional special days, be it, you know, they have the downtown chow down that we could possibly set up for, you know, future special days. We could cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think ideally the long-term solution to this would be a completely separate restroom facility that, you know, and I wouldn't have any problem with the county partnering with the city to get it done somehow. But I just feel like it should not be in the courthouse due to security reasons and whatnot. I think it'd be best long-term to look at a freestanding restroom facility.
But with that comment, so I think what you're saying is similar to me, that for now, if they have a downtown chow down every Wednesday for 5 months of the year, you would be okay with that temporarily, or maybe for this season?
Temporarily, or maybe with this season. Basically, I want to leave our hours as is. They're open when they're open now. We already have a special day set up, like Talk Walk and Charleston Fest, so we would keep that as is. If they want to go ahead and use it for downtown showdown, I would ask that they come and have a formal ask for that. And I think that's a once a month thing, am I right? So it wouldn't be like every single Wednesday, it would just be.
Downtown Chowdown, once a month, May through October.
Okay, so yeah, that's 5 extra days, which I don't think is too much to ask.
Commissioner Bromas.
This sounds like a compromise solution that I think could work. I like the idea of putting a card reader lock on the inside door. I assume Scott has been involved in this discussion and feels like it will work.
I was going to say, Commissioner, I'll have Scott come up and talk after you make your comments, but I did go look at the building and talk with him about it.
Okay. So, yeah, it's a compromise solution. We can take care of the main events that the city has. And I kind of agree with Nick that maybe in the long run, a separate facility might be appropriate. But for the short term, this it sounds like a pretty good solution.
Mr. Hope, you want to come up and tell us what you think? If you'd like, or if you don't want to, that's fine as well.
I think we should just keep it the way it is. I don't think that we should open our bathrooms any other time than Strauss and Fest. Chalkball, Kids Day. What's the other one? Otanabon days. There's 3, I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's my opinion. I mean, why don't these store owners, why don't they open their bathrooms up? I mean, why are we the ones that have to open ours up? Why don't the city open theirs up for chow down, stuff like that? I mean, that's my opinion. I think you're opening up a lot of problems.
If we were not to open any later on those Wednesdays, other than the 6 o'clock that we normally do, if we don't do that, there's no need to upgrade that door or to make any change. Because when there's a special event, you manage making sure the door is locked, making sure the building's secure.
Strauss and Fest, I'm here. I mean,
Right.
I'm here more than I want to be, but Strauss and Fest, I'm fine. Strauss and Fest, and, you know, the other child or the kids' days. I mean, I work through that. That's no big deal. But I mean, you want to open up till 8 every Wednesday. I mean, who's going to come down and close them, or, you know, check to make sure everybody's out?
Right, so that was what my suggestion would be, that we leave it open with an automatic lock down, like at 4 o'clock, like it does now at 6 currently, and we don't have anyone come down. And if we have a problem at any time, then we stop the practice.
Well, the next thing is, it was on the agenda, and a lot of the girls over there, they seen that, they want to know what was going on with the bathrooms, and I told them, and there's a lot of them are not in favor of getting all these public people coming in and using their bathrooms, because they're not going to get cleaned right away in the morning. Nancy goes around and she does her, cleans offices and other things while nobody's here. And then, you know, 9, 10 o'clock, then she'll start on the bathrooms. So you got that period of time where they're not going to be clean from the outside. I mean, yeah, you got outside public now that comes in, but very little. But if you open them up till 8 o'clock at night, they're not going to get clean, our employees.
And to that point, I would make the argument that that'd be 5 days a year. There's a second floor restroom. It sounds like the other two want to keep the hours as they are, unless there's a special request. But I would say even if we did keep it open till 7 or 8, and those bathrooms got made dirty by the public, which I don't think that they would. We still have a second floor bathroom, and we'd have it the next morning to clean those up for those 5 days a year. For those chow downs at least. But I thank you for your opinion, your thoughts on it. It's appreciated. Any other thoughts? So would the two of you like me to? It sounds like as a group, our opinion would be to leave the hours as is, and if they want a special request, to come in and ask for it. Is that the consensus? Yes. I hear a yes.
I think so, yes. The hours as is 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and what were you suggesting about chow down? Would we do that or not?
I was suggesting that we did. Commissioner Hostetter said that he would prefer the hours to stay as is unless they made a special request and we granted it.
Okay. I think I agree with Commissioner Hostetter.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you.
Those chow downs, I think last year when they did it for a big wall, typically,
They just last longer than we do.
they go longer than 6.
Right, so the request from the city was, well, they had a couple requests actually. The one was for the chow down. that the request was be open 4 to 8. We are already open 4 to 6. So they were requesting 2 extra hours on Wednesday, but then they did have something that the downtown merchants may be planning later hours on Wednesdays. So that could the request could come that it was open till 7 o'clock every Wednesday. But that, I don't think that that's in concrete or anything yet. But I know where everybody stands, and I will put that across to the mayor. If that's okay with the board. That's fine. Okay. Good. It's 11:15, or close to it, and we have Mr. Werner here who has, are we waiting for Dr. Otten? Okay, so if you want to, you're welcome to come up and talk to us about the Chromebook donation.
Yeah, so we had 4 area businesses donate Chromebooks to our vaccine clinics to help us with the electronic issues that we've had at our first 2 clinics. So I guess these 10 Chromebooks accepted into our inventory.
So there's 10?
10 of them.
Okay.
Yes. I've got do you need a copy of the invoices or anything like that?
I have a quote on it.
Well, that's the one that came to me that I didn't sign that.
Right. I just wanted to see that.
Okay, I've got the ones from the area businesses that donated. And then I also have a thank you letter for each one of them that I'd like you guys to sign as well.
More than 3 times the assets, so I think we're okay.
Those are the 4 invoices to each one of the businesses, and then these are 4 thank you letters to each one of the businesses.
Well, what we did is they paid for them. We did not want to have to pay, set them up, put them in our managed services agreement. So these are Chromebooks that.
They're strictly Chromebooks. They're not in our network. So all we use the bar is to get on Zotec and go through the internet to do our vaccination clinics for COVID-19. And once COVID-19 hopefully goes away, then we can use them. If I have a employee that needs to remote work or anything like that, they would be able to get on the internet.
They won't be able to VPN in and do all that.
They would be able to get on the internet and work through the portal. Yes.
It's not managed under our managed services.
So do you have a method to manage these yourself? If say there's a problem, one dies or something, I guess there's no budget for it.
Then it dies. They were donated.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a great idea to not only send the thank you letters, but I'd like it to be recognized in the minutes of the meeting, who made the donations. Does everyone want to know?
No, I invited everyone to come here today to take a picture, whatever they wanted to do with us. German American Bank is going to the health department on the 22nd to do that out there with us. If you want to come, you're more than welcome to. And then I believe Sandy Himmerline with Springs Valley was also going to try and set something up with us. And I have not heard from Remax and FC Tucker.
So again, just for the record, FC Tucker, Remax, a couple of real estate agencies locally, they made a donation. Springs Valley Bank and Trust and Bank Corporation.
Yes.
So thank you very much for stepping up for those companies.
Yeah, quantities on there. The quantity they donated is on their invoices and on the letter.
I think you guys just have to accept it into our inventory.
And this is, I don't know if you need to see number one, if this is one, I didn't bring all.
Can you take it out and show us how it works? Just kidding.
I'll do it. Much like
We need to verify that you don't have games on. No, but no, this is a wonderful thing. It's great. Just shows up your community is stepping up to help where needed.
And the school, Jasper High School also is allowing us to use 11 of their laptops, which gives us the capability to do 21 stations. And if we do a 1,200 day or a 1,500 day, which that's what our plan is, 1,000 a day, we'll need every one of those. So Jasper High School has also, graciously let us use 11 of their laptops as well. So community's been great with giving donations and supporting us, and we're super thankful for that.
That's pretty fabulous. Anything, so I will make a motion that we accept the donation of 10 Chromebooks as county property.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So how is Dr. Audi involved? She helps coordinate that?
She is actually a volunteer at our clinics, both at the department during the week and also at the weekends. She kind of took it upon herself, once she's seen the need at the mass clinic for more electronic devices. She took it upon herself to basically ask these area businesses for donations, and she was the one that orchestrated all of this.
That's fabulous. Thank you, Dr. Otto, for your help and the number of other volunteers you have.
Yes, that's for sure.
Thank you, Ms. Mark.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Schneer, do you have anything else for us? County Auditor?
I sent you a letter from the DNR. We received timber sales money, which half up to $1,000 can go to the fire departments listed if they have an agreement on file, which we have 9 that have agreements on file, and so they can get up to 1,000. We did get more money than 1,000, so we could give them $1,253.06. If you don't agree with the extra money, then the county gets that money. So in the past, we have forwarded that onto the fire departments, but that is up to your call.
And would these be timber sales at Toka or maybe probably Ferdinand State Forest?
15% of the net proceeds from the sale of timber on its state-owned lands to the county from which the timber was sold.
I think I responded in the email of doing the $1,000 per department.
Honestly, I'd be fine either way. I don't think it's a significant amount. Fire department's doing a good job.
Commissioner Ramos?
Yes, I understand that this ability to pay them more or pay them the 50% has been in place for a number of years. A number being, I don't know, 5-6 years. And we have been only paying the $1,000. Is that correct? So in other words, if we just stick with the 1,000.
We've given them more in the past when we get more. Last time we got something, it was only $800 some, so it didn't apply. So we do have record of when they did have one in the past that we did give them the more.
So when the number is down below, as you gave the example of $800, then we've given 50%.
No, they get that. The state provides us how much to give them. And it'll say, like on the paper I gave you, it shows you the share. And if that share is 1,000 or less, there's not an issue to come to you. If they give us, if they collect more, it's capped at 1,000 unless you guys decide to distribute that, the greater distribution. Because that's on the House Enrolled Act that I gave you, number C. Unless the county legislative body allows a greater distribution, each fire district or department is limited to receiving a maximum annual distribution under this section of $1,000. But they sold more and they could get more if you guys allow. If you don't, that extra $253 per department goes to the county.
So the precedent has been 50%. Have we ever been over the $1,000 limit?
Yes, one time that I know of.
Okay, and we stayed with $1,000 at that time, or did we give the 50%?
We shared it with them. We gave them the extra money in the past.
Okay, okay.
I think she said at least one time in the past, we have given them the full amount.
Over the $1,000.
Over the 1,000.
Over the 1,000, yes. Then I would be in favor of doing that again.
Your call.
What is the Why would we keep, like, what's the county getting out of keeping it? Just the money?
We, I mean,
The
do
tradition
the,
has been to pass it on. I'd say go ahead and pass it on. What do we do to earn it? I guess would be my other question.
Just own the
as
land.
much as they do.
It's in our county, the timber sales are in our county.
Chad, with you on this, we'll go $1,000 to the fire department.
So do
Okay.
not give them the extra.
Correct.
Okay, so the motion, I'll make a motion that we do the $1,000 statutory limit as has been presented to us, so $1,000 to each fire department.
Well, they have to have this.
So that the 9 that are listed.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay, we were first and a second. I think we've had a discussion. Is there any additional? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 2-1. Anything else from you, Auditor?
I am in the process of replacing computers. Seems like it's all I do some days. It is time to do the courts, circuit superior, and small claims. So I am in that process right now. So you know.
Are there there's no funding issues or anything, right? We got-
I had money in the budget for this year to replace some, so I've got other machines that are starting to have issues as well. I know there's some prosecutor, maybe next one. I know the surveyor, the veteran service officer, and the weights and measures, their machines are in the line to be replaced in the future as well, so.
Hey, Greg, can you hang on for a second? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Sandy. While Councilman Grolick was here, I wanted to tell the board, it was one of my items, that he and I and others, the sheriff and Scott Evilhair from the 911 Advisory Board, we're in the process of doing a couple things. One, we're looking to hire some dispatchers. One got through training and decided that maybe it was something she couldn't handle. And then a second one is still employed with us, but he may be taking maybe an EMT job in a different county. So we are doing that, and also we are starting to take applications for the 911 director's position. We've had numerous applicants for that. And when will that end of taking applications?
Monday.
Next Monday?
22nd finishes that when we're receiving the application. Yep.
So Councilman Garlick has gone over and above with the time and effort that he's put into these things, and I want to thank him for that. And I don't know if you need any comments.
No, at this point, no, we're getting a lot of applicants, which is what we wanted. Not all are qualified, but that's okay. That's part of the process. And so we're going to keep moving. And Gina's last day is May the 7th. I think it was 8th.
Early May.
Early May, that's fair enough. So our goal is to see if we can at least that person has an opportunity to work with Gina for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever time frame that works out. So we're kind of in time constrained with that, but we want to be forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Greg. Yeah.
So, really, it's great when somebody steps up and really takes it on. And Commissioner or Councilman Cleaser has been doing the same thing on the jail fire commission. It's a lot of help. So Sandy, I'm sorry I cut you off, but it's on leaving. So you talked about the computer things. Is there anything else?
I am in the process of hiring, and I'm waiting for administrative processes to be complete. So hopefully I'll have somebody getting them work.
So you made a selection, given a offer.
Right. The only other question I had was on the 911 cell phone. I didn't really
Yeah.
bring that up.
So I'll just, let's go into my miscellaneous things and we'll hand it over. The one thing that I do have of note in here is that Marky continues to work on the job descriptions and number of hours that are expected per job within the county. So that was something that that is ongoing and I think is important. The 911 director, I mentioned this I may have mentioned this to you before, I don't remember. Gina, when she retires and her retirement's complete, she has a cell phone that's provided by the county. She would like to keep the phone and the number, and she's willing to pay us whatever the phone is worth. But I believe she's had that phone and number for forever. So she would like to do that. I don't know if the only thing that I know of that's county property that goes with an employee when they leave would be potentially a sheriff's deputy or a sheriff's firearm. There's a method in place for that to go along with somebody. Otherwise, I don't know that there's ever been anything that we've let an employee take something, county property along with them at the end of their service. That being said, I don't wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it. The phone, we could determine the value of the phone. And as far as the phone number, we just transfer it from our account to a private account. Those are my initial thoughts, but I don't know how the board would like to proceed with this.
Should there be any information stored on that phone that could be an issue?
I mean, I would assume that there's probably county contacts, but I don't know if that she or anyone else with a similar phone could keep those anyway.
And then I guess my other thing would be, it does it set a precedent that now we're gonna have more and more people requesting similar type, maybe not necessarily cell phones, but a cell phone, laptop, so on and so forth, because, I mean, a similar situation might arise where someone wants to keep their laptop, and they're willing to pay for it. I'm just not sure about the precedent it might set.
I do know that in the past, we've let people put the number, but then they just take the number.
And not the phone.
Commissioner Rose?
Yeah, I have reservations about this as well. My initial reaction to it is this is county property. And even if it is only contacts that are on there, it is county property, and what's on that phone is county business, should be county business. Even if we were to discard the phone, I don't know whether we can pass that on to the next director. But even if we were to discard the phone, I think it's important that we keep county property secure.
Would you be okay with transporting the telephone number?
I wouldn't be as concerned about that, although it depends on how that number has been publicly used. And I would think that would be more of a problem for her than it would be for us. If somebody called that number thinking they're getting 911 or thinking they're getting Gina, and she's no longer the director. They think they're getting the director and she's no longer the director. It could be an inconvenience or a problem for the public as well. I don't know how widely that number has been distributed.
I don't think that it's used at all for public safety as far as the public, but I would assume she probably has contacts for the fire chiefs and similar people on it. So sounds like we have some reservations. Maybe the phone number itself wouldn't be a problem. Maybe it would. You don't. Let's just talk about the physical item itself. Probably not in favor of it.
No, I'm definitely no on the phone.
No on the phone. Commissioner Brahmas, no on the phone.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Okay, so that takes care of that issue. And what should I tell her about the number? Because that would be a second thing. For me, I'm okay with it. I think she probably used this phone number for the 2 years she's been director, and it was her number as assistant director, and it's the only phone she uses. So, and we were, and I've mentioned this to the advisory board meetings, I expect the director, if I call 2 in the morning, to answer for her position. It's an important position, but she basically is on call all the time. I think that's the only number she's used for many years. So I'm okay with the number myself. But I mean, I understand the fitness applications, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on the number itself. I kind of feel like best practice might be to just say, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do it for anybody else either. Once it's a county phone, it's always a county phone. Once it's a county number, it's always a county number. And just leave it at that. Just don't worry about the precedent it might set down the road.
Commissioner Bromas?
I tend to agree with that. The past practice, however, did I understand, Sandy, that we have done that in the past?
We have let, I know there was one that we quoted the number, Gary Fritz quoted his number.
I'm sorry, you've done it, we've done it once or more than once?
I know that Gary quoted his number when he left, Gary Fritz.
Did you catch that, Elmer? It was Gary Fritz his number was able to go with him.
Okay, so we don't have a large past practice that we're deviating from if we don't allow it to go.
The past 911 director, her phone was put to use in the council. They kept it there on the 911 council. She's got some phones at the council or whatever you call it.
Console. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And the health department, they've repurposed that phone for a new person. So, I mean, we have kept them here and repurposed them.
So I don't like that. I'm never a person that if we've done it a certain way in the past, we should continue to do it. I don't necessarily care about that. I like looking at each one, each situation on its merit. So that would be the reason I would want to allow her to keep it. I agree, maybe the simplest practice is to just say no to everybody. I'm still, I guess overall, I'm okay with her taking the number. Sounds like not okay, not okay. Mr. Bromas, you're.
No, I'm not okay.
Okay. That being the case, that I will let her know what we've decided.
Now, I do want to say, when you do take a phone from somebody, if they need to give us the passwords and the passcodes and if you get them and you don't have that, you got to use those phones. But we can reset them and reuse them if that's on me.
Okay. So, the next thing I haven't taken any additional action on this since we've had the approval, and I may have even mentioned it at the last meeting. I don't recall when this came through, but we were awarded the Community Connections for People with Disabilities grant. And so that is something that we will be working on. So service will be getting the benefit out of that, and so will the residents of DuBois County as a whole. So that is another exciting thing that we have. So the hot spots will start working on getting those put up, and the system that SERS is working on will be getting worked on as well. So I will give you further updates as that progresses. I have no other things to discuss today.
I have nothing additional today.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, I just sent you an email from the city attorney, Cabrick, regarding the bike and pedestrian plan. It actually came from Taylor, what is that, Taylor Seifert, employee or representative. And it just kind of updates where we're at. And I think it has a website where you can go and provide feedback, and just to know that they are working on the study. There will be some meetings coming up, including some public meetings coming up for that. But so you might look for that. I thought I sent it earlier this morning, but I think I just realized that I didn't send it. So you just got it a few minutes ago. The other thing I've got is the resolution on House Bill 1381, and what do we want to do with that? That resolution was prepared by Barnes and Thornburg on or in behalf of the Indiana Association of County Commissioners. If you know, the bill actually passed through the House last night about 8 o'clock. My understanding is that Representative Lindar and Representative Bartles voted against it. It now goes to the Senate, where I understand Senator Messmer is in favor of it. I think I've shared with you my concerns and what it means. I'll answer any questions. If you have any questions, then we can decide what to do about it.
I think the only comment that I made was I don't feel educated enough on it that I was real comfortable putting a resolution together in favor or against it. That was really all I said. As a general principle, I appreciate home rule. I think government closest to the people is the most effective government, so I do like that about it. With that being said, sometimes there's some value to having a statewide uniform rule for certain types of development. That makes it easier for the companies that are doing this work to know what they're getting into in each place instead of learning a new set of rules in each jurisdiction that they enter. So I guess I'm pretty wishy-washy on if I would want to sign a resolution against it.
I can tell you, I don't know enough about it to oppose or be for it. I need to do a little bit more. I did read the email this morning and I skimmed over it. Probably just a little more wishy-washy than Chad is on it. So let me learn a little bit more about it and go from there.
I would think that the learning about it thing, the only thing bad about that is it'll be too late in 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay.
Would you agree, Commissioner Bromas?
Yes, that's correct. I don't know how long it'll take to get through the Senate. It's in committee right now in the Senate. Then it'll have to come to the floor. And I don't, a week, maybe, I don't know. But yes, it went through the House pretty quick. And it passed probably with about a 20 vote margin in the House. So no, I get it. I would be hesitant too. But I do feel pretty strongly about the home rule part of it. And if this passes, if this bill passes, and wind and solar now operate on a state standard, what other industries, mining industry or manufacturing industries will follow that? There were a couple of commissioners who testified at the hearing for the House, the committee hearing at the House. One represents a county who is very much in favor of wind energy, windmills. The other represented a county where the residents are very much against it. But they both testified against the bill on the basis that it's our county and we should be able to determine what happens in our county. So the home rule, in other words. So that's kind of the backstory. I get your point about industry having a standard, but yeah, there's the home rule issue, I think, overrides that.
One reason I brought that up is I think that the two firms that I've been involved with locally that have come to the city of Huntingburg and to me as the county representative, I think part of the reason they're having a conversation with Du Bois County is because we don't have zoning. I think if we put rules into place, then they may look elsewhere.
No, you're right. They may if we put in strict rules, but we wouldn't put strict rules in place unless we are opposed to the development. And that's what counties are doing. Counties that are opposed to those developments are putting in stricter requirements for development in their county. than counties that are open to the development. We don't have planning and zoning in Du Bois County, therefore, there's not a lot that we could put in place anyway to restrict the development. But if they wanted something from us, like what do we call them? Not rebates, but tax abatements. If they wanted tax abatements from us, then we could put restrictions on before we grant those tax abatements. But if the bill passes, we couldn't put restrictions any more restrictive than what the state puts on.
We could still restrict the tax abatement.
I'm sorry?
We would still have the ability to not give an abatement.
Yes, yes.
I mean, indirectly, we would restrict that. I mean, we wouldn't lose that power. I guess, as I'm sitting here, I think that I could approve, or I could get support signing the resolution if we had something to put in its place locally. Do you think, Commissioner Bromas, is there something that anybody on these calls that you've been on could share with us as a starting point for us?
Well, I think they could share, but they have, most of them have planning and zoning in place, and they have the ability to do that. I don't, as I said, I don't know that we have the ability to put any restrictions in place unless they want something from us.
That's one of our limitations. I did have a conversation with our bond counsel actually on this topic last week. Who I think is going to draft this resolution, and they're assisting counties throughout, trying to get these agreements in place to help facilitate and make it more advantageous for the county, so we don't end up short. If there's something that we can reap as a reward in the agreement with them, again, he said there's a wealth of information that these guys can provide to us, probably a lot more than we talked about in that conversation.
To Commissioner Brown's point, though, if we want to make a restriction and we don't have zoning and planning, I mean, can't we put a uniform restriction on everything? I mean, what would stop us from doing that? I mean, you don't have to either go full zoning and planning
It's
to.
comparable to what we did with the property development, that's not full blown zoning, it's an ordinance and land use restrictions and things of that nature. That, we could certainly explore, maybe able to adjust and deal with on a topic by topic basis versus doing full blown zoning.
Right, that's my understanding would be the same thing, that we could take it piecemeal. We don't have to have.
You want a solar ordinance, or you want a wind farm ordinance, or you want a coal mining ordinance, or anything else.
Sure.
$5, whatever. That's all I need.
Yes. So I would think
I'll
that,
follow.
so Commissioner Brown, you feel strongly about supporting this?
No, not as strong as some commissioners in other parts of the state are.
That being said, I think I'm more comfortable not signing on.
I agree.
Okay. So we
Okay.
agree, and if you're okay with that, we'll just we'll move on from the topic. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
I think that's all I have.
Anything else? Anything else? No. Anything from the crowd? Okay, looks like we've finished our business for today. We will adjourn. Off.